Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host, and here we are to fight CPS Stop Taking Our Children. That's right, fight CPS. The child protection system is very corrupt, and I know you guys have had a horrible, horrible time trying to get your kids back. You know, it's a real bad organization. Now, I'm a loving father, a family man. I have six children myself, and I've been married 32 years. And I've been fighting CPS for 15 years. It all started for me in 2010. Now, um, this is from firsthand knowledge and from the 500 so people I've talked to on my podcast from all the 50 states. You can't trust CPS. They're very, very, very corrupt. I would like to point out a couple things of how you interact with this podcast. First of all, this podcast is live, and I love to have interactions among anybody that wants to. Now, you can do comments. I'm broadcast on YouTube. I'm using the StreamYard application, and you can make a comment. All you have to do is got to be something about CPS questions. Please show your name, your city, your state, or country, and to be complete with your CPS case. I don't want to play ping pong ball back and forth. So start with your CPS case at the beginning. How many children involved? Are they all the same spouses or multiple spouses, marriages or boyfriends or whatever the case may be? What was the neglect? What was the abuse? And where are they at on your case? That's what's important to put all that in there. So one way is to text in your comments, and I encourage you all to do so. Another way is to make a phone call, and you can call in to my work number 626-698-0990. I'll take the call. I'll put you live, and the people can hear you. I'll put you on speakerphone, and we can try to help out your case, or you can help out others. But I really like you all to call in at 626-698-0990. And the only time you can really call or use that number is between my hours that I'm on my show. Now, I'm on Monday through Sunday at 10 o'clock every morning for 1 hour. That's Pacific Standard Time. Except on Sunday. Tomorrow, I'll be on at 8 o'clock. I have time with my son in church Sunday morning, and so that's why I come on a little bit earlier. So I'm on at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, but all the rest of the days I'm on at 10 o'clock for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time. I'm on in the evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour, Monday through Sunday. And I've been doing this since October. So there's 14 podcasts a week. And I try to share you what I went through, share you from other people. People join me here on the show, and they really try to help one another. I want to help you. I care about you as parents. You know, what you're going through is the most awful thing. You being in this room is taking a positive step because you still care for your children. It's sad that we have to fight a government agency, but the child protection system is corrupt, and they're not transparent. They're corrupt. They'll lie. They'll take revenge. They will traffic your children to foster care, and they'll alienate your children. They steal your children. They stole mine, and they hurt me badly. So I share all your heartaches and so forth. So please call in at 626-698-0990. Now, another way you can do the podcast is you can be a guest on our show. To schedule as a guest, all you have to do is email our show producer. That's Grace. She works behind the scenes, works a strong job. So you just email our producer, and the email address is grace at vincentwdavis.com. Grace at vincentwdavis.com. And you just tell her I want to be on Bob's morning show on Sunday, or his evening show on Saturday, or his Wednesday show in morning. You just tell her morning, evening, and one day of the week. That's 14 shows to pick from. And I'd love to have you as my guest. I've had several guests this past week, and they're great because you can share your story, or you can help out other people that come on here that try to help out their case. Now I'm going to switch back to the phone number, which is the best way to call in there. But now, guest wise, we have Faye um, Manny, who has come on. She's from Richmond, Kentucky, a wonderful lady who had two children. Her daughter was stolen from her. She still has her son. He's a special needs son, and she's working very hard to have custody of her special needs son. But she has a lot of ideas. She will tell you a lot about Richmond, Kentucky. And she's on the show and she's willing to help. And um, she has called in and has been as a guest on the show and talked about her cases. She's come up with some great ideas and so forth. So I'm glad to see you here, Faye, bright and early. And thank you so, so much. She gives a lot. You know, that woman's been through a lot. She's, been out of foster care growing up as a small infant 5 times. And then when she started having children, CPS remembered her in foster care and decided to rip her apart. It's sad what they do. Not only the social workers, but also um, the police have been really bad too. So it's very, 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 very important that that um, you're careful because this agency, I don't, I, his words cannot explain to me. Um, First of all, the kind of social workers you're against. Let me give you an example of one. There's a group of 8 social workers in Prescott, Arizona, in the year 2022, decided to get pink T-shirts, and on the front was stenciled professional kidnappers. Now, professional kidnappers is a terrible thing to say, but on the back they said, "Do you know where your children are?" And so they walked around at Walmart and Target and other department stores and really, gave CPS a bad name and made parents really shaken up about it. They're fired. They're gone. But if you look up on the internet, Prescott, Arizona, the Department of Children's Services there had 8 social workers that parade around in pink T-shirts, said they're professional kidnappers. And furthermore, on the back, they said, "You know where your children are." And if that's not bad enough, a month ago, a social worker on her first Facebook page, advertised that she's a social worker. She put an ad from 1848, 140 years ago. Now, what kind of ad she put? She put black children for sale. It's a reproduction of the ad that ran in 1848. And on top of it, this was a black woman. So why would a black woman put a black children for sale ad in the year 2024? What does that have to do with help save our children? That is wrong. That's wrong. And I can go on and on about cases where social workers have done things to violate. They violated me. They kidnapped my children. They actually got rid of one of my child. I was bankrupt by them. I lost my home. I lost my good credit rating. My family's been disheveled, and for 15 years I've been fighting them. And all because why? Why? Because of money. It's a $1 billion business. Every child they get in possession in Orange County, they get paid $20,000 per child per month. 3 children, that's 60,000. If you had 100 families in Orange County with 3 children, that's $6 million. $6 million. Why do they need $6 million in one place? It's an $80 billion business. They're out to get you. They're out to get you. And I'm sorry that you have to hear it this way, but uh, the CPS social workers will make you feel like you're Alice in Wonderland. You've fallen in a rabbit hole and you've gone to all these rooms that don't make sense and they don't talk nice to you. They do not talk nice to you. They don't care about parents. They don't care about seniors. They don't care about elders. They're only in it for themselves. That you see, you can picture those pink ladies. That's all they cared about. They're professional child kidnappers. That's what they are. And it's sad, but that's what they do. And so I'm telling you, you got to be heads up. And I have 4 rules that share everybody besides my story that will help you stay out of trouble, will help you get your kids back. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a man with a big heart that has gone through this, is still going through this, and cares about you families out there, cares about you getting back your kids and so forth. It's never too late, and I really want to help you. Again, you can text me a comment, or you can call in on the phone number, or you can schedule a private appointment with my show producer, Faye, at vincentwdavis.com, and you can be on the show there. Um, One of my first rules that I have is that you need to get an attorney. And I don't know how stressed the importance of that is, because if you know anything about doing heart surgery, that's what CPS is. You get a doctor, a professional doctor who has gone through medical school, internship, and been a mentor of a doctor before he got his license and everything. That's what you need. You need someone who can do open heart surgery. Now, you as a layperson or as a person, can you open your chest and do your heart? Can you have a friend do that? Would you let a plumber do that? Would you let a auto mechanic? No, you're going to get a professional doctor. The same thing holds true with the CPS. You want to get a professional. Um, you want to get a professional um, uh, a professional lawyer, a dependency family lawyer, and I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Davis. Mr. Vincent W. Davis is a dependency family lawyer. He's excellent. He has 35 years fighting CPS. He's won cases and gotten the kids back. He's a trial attorney. He knows how to do that. Furthermore, he can also sue CPS. He's won $1 million lawsuits in federal and state courts. So he's a good man out there. And all you have to do is call him at 888-888-6582 and schedule a strategy meeting for 30 minutes. It's $60 for 30 minutes, and he will tell you how to negotiate. And if you like him, the chemistry's good, you can do a retainer, and he'll help defend your case. He works everywhere. He works in Southern California, Northern California, and all the 50 states. It's just that it depends on your budget and so forth. I know you are really hard pressed for attorneys. I was too. I had to sell my home to hire Mr. Davis. And, he is a fighter. You be rest assured. If I had hired him at the beginning of my case, I probably would not have lost my daughter. And that was a sad tragedy that I had to go as a parent. CPS is not your friend. In Richmond, Kentucky, right now they're trying to explain where $900,000 is. Can't find out how they spent $900,000. They have no way of accountability in Richmond, Kentucky. It's really, really, really bad. Um, so I'm telling you, you have to be really heads up. And one of the things is get that attorney going. The guy that you say that represents you in court, the court appointed attorney, is useless. They'll just roll over and fall dead. They will not talk to you ahead of time. They have a caseload of 30 people. They're not fighters. They're going to try the easiest way out. So I'm telling you, that's not a real attorney. You may think you're saving a buck, but you're losing your child. And your family is the most important thing. You need to talk to family and friends, borrow some money, and hire Mr. Davis or hire. You need that attorney to fight. They're the only ones that can really do so. And talk to them at least. $60 gives you 30 minutes of the best attorney in the country. That's $60 for 30 minutes. So you cannot go wrong there. That's my rule number one. Get an attorney. It'll protect you. Now, rule number two is the notebook. You need to keep track of all your paperwork. You're going to get lots of paperwork. You need to organize it. You need to have a notebook that's 6 inches thick and 3 rings. And then you want to make sure that you stuff it full of college rule notebook paper. And then you also put in subject tabs because you want to organize it. One of the subject tabs would be incidents. All the incidents that you encounter, either the incidents with the police or the social workers, wherever you have, you would put all of them, um, yeah, all the incidents there and so forth. And um, you'd start off with the, the date, the time, the location, the people involved, and then you take all those people and you put your first line is description of the incident. The second line is the outcome. If you don't know the outcome, you can come back to it later. But it's very, very, very important that that you keep track of the incidents, because later on you have to refer to it a year later and you won't remember everything. So incidents is one tab. Another one is your parenting classes. You want to put a list of all the parenting classes you've completed, and then hole punch your certificates and put them in the binder in that subsection. Do the same thing with programs like domestic violence, or like anger management, or the program like with the drug rehab and things like that. Again, you make a list of all the programs, you put all the certificates in there, another subject matter, and then you have one called the court papers. That's where you put all your court papers, punch holes, and put them arranged in a date. And you can use highlighters, use yellow and pink to highlight things, to help you find things. It's supposed to be a tool that helps you. It's very, very, very important. And another one is info. You want to list all the links in CPS uh, that can help you, all the phone numbers, the people, including my name and how you got a hold of me and stuff. You have it already there available. So you fill up that notebook and you keep it with you at all times for your CPS case. And the child protection system is corrupt. I'm telling you that. There's enough evidence to support it. Their only interest is money, and so forth. Okay, I've had Faye come in, um, and I'm going through my rules right now. I don't see anybody else. I know it's Saturday night. Um, I thank you for the. A lot of people are listening to not write anything, but I thank you for the emojis, the hearts, the thumbs up, and the people that are listening. You're listening right now. So um, we move on to rule number three, which I think is the most important one. That is where, well, the second most important one. That's where you say no to social workers. You don't let them in your house. You say no to policemen. You let them in your house. You let them take your children. You don't want to talk to them. They'll use what you say against you. They'll go through your home and look at things. They need a court warrant. They need some court papers. It's got to be legit paper. Somebody today or this morning told me that they saw the paper, but it looks like someone cut and pasted things. CPS are corrupt. They'll violate your constitutional rights. They'll violate your civil rights. And they'll lie. They'll lie. They'll bring you up and knock you back down. So it's very important that you do not let social workers in your home. Don't let police in your home. And, you know, they have to have a court warrant to come in your home. And then on top of that, they have to see that there's something that would damage your children. You know, they in imminent danger. They got to be in imminent danger before they go in anyway. And imminent danger means something that is life threatening. You know, something that is life threatening and stuff like that. So um, I strongly support you to to not let them in, and don't talk to them too. If you feel uncomfortable, an easy way to do a timeout is say, "Excuse me, I need to talk to my attorney before we go any further." It's your right to talk to an attorney. They don't know if you have one, so you can get out talking to them by that. Or don't answer the door. The best thing is don't answer the door. There's a young fella, 23, in May 3rd, that was shot dead opening the door. He was an airman in the United States Air Force. He was a black man, young man, talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime, and she watched him be murdered on FaceTime. The body cam from the sheriff showed him that he was point blank fired 5 bullets. I don't know where police heads are. You know, why can't they learn to shoot in the foot or the shoulder or the hand? Why do they have to kill everybody all the time? They take all this specialized training and they do an awful job. So, with that being said, I am I am implore you, do not talk to social workers. Be courteous. Say yes, no answers, but don't talk to them. And then on top of that, don't let them in your home. Don't let them take your children. Don't say, "Well, bring your children down to the CPS." That's a no. They'll make promises and ignore them. Best thing to do is don't talk to them. Don't let them in the home. Hide in the back part of the home. And then watch out the medical trafficking. Now, medical trafficking is pretty bad because you bring your child to their urgent care emergency room because they're complaining of some severe ailment or something. Next thing you know, the social workers are taking them in their custody. Why? This I don't seem to understand. It's like, you may say that, well, I appreciate you telling me what's wrong, but I'm going to see my pediatrician next day. It's okay. I mean, if they have an open wound or something, you have to stitch it up. But they're really been bad habit lately. And the other part, besides taking your children, is going to have a baby. A woman goes in to have a baby. Next thing you know, the child protection, the policemen come in and take the baby from them. And that's wrong. You don't do that. They have to have a court order. The doctor and nurse should tell the policeman or the social worker to wait in the lobby. This is stupid. You don't allow them in the birthing room. You decide that. That also goes with your kids at school. When you have the first day of school, that first week, you need to turn in an emergency card. The emergency card tells what people can talk to your kids. They cannot talk to your kids, you know, um, it's not on that card. And also, um, if you do talk to your kids, there should be present. What a social worker did recently, I found this out today, is that a man who was a social worker went to the school, asked to see the child alone, and then proceeded to take pictures of her naked body as he told her to take off her clothes. This is a social worker. This is this is a man, deranged man using the vice of social worker. That's another horrific case. If you can imagine a young girl who, 12, 13 years old, asked to take off her top. And the school didn't even have a representative there. Yeah, they caught him. They fired him, but still he endangered. So you should not ever have anybody talk to your children unless they're on that special card, emergency card. And it's sad because there are perverted pedophiles that work for CPS that use these social services as a background so they exploit their pedophile. So it's wrong. It's wrong, and you should know that. Um, you should you should never your child should never have to experience that, and that is sad. There's so many of these you know cases you hear about. It's sad. It's really really sad. So that's rule number three, and my last rule is rule number four, and that's where you need to learn everything it is about the CPS in your city and state. So if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, you look up CPS cases in Atlanta, Georgia. You look at anything and you write and you describe what your CPS case is about. And you should do that right away. You should do that right away. And I feel, you know, sorry that a lot of the stuff was common sense. Now, I was a parent who didn't listen to, I did everything backwards and backwards. I lost my job in 2010 and I was struggling to get work and I had a mortgage to pay and I had to tell my family um, uh, we had to go to a Spartan lifestyle, meaning that we had to go to a very basic lifestyle. And I did not know that my in laws, my wife's family, was calling to CPS every day reporting things that weren't true. Like we didn't pay for utilities. I showed all my utility bills that I did pay. There was no food. I showed the CPS workers my refrigerator stocked with food. I showed where we prepare the food. I showed them the house. I again I was stupid because you're not supposed to let them in, but I did so. I had nothing to hide. They just constantly every day the in-laws would call in a complaint, and they're after me. I met with the social workers outside. I did not want to meet them in the house. I did it in the very beginning, but I stopped doing that. And I wish I knew about the timeout where I could say I need to speak to my attorney before we go any further. I need to talk to them about this case. So don't forget, you got civil and constitutional rights. and it's important that they are honored and that you follow through. Take good notes, take pictures, take you know videos. All that can be used because the judges are corrupt, the social workers are corrupt, and the attorneys for the social workers are corrupt. The whole thing is corrupt, and it's all sad. It's sad. I've had one social worker on here who talked for about 40 minutes. She was from Maryland. She had a clinical psychology degree, and she said she did 6 months of training in Maryland for CPS. So, I've had people call from Maryland. It's a terrible case. So, I don't know what to believe, but I wish she'd call back later. Also, I challenge any social workers to call in. Now, Darlene Smith has just texted a message. She says the Chevron doctrine was just overturned. This is a good news for parents and bad news for those corrupt agencies. What is the Chevron doctrine, Doreen Smith? Can you elaborate more? And then she further says, communicate by emails only, not phone. You're right. Don't talk on the phone. How would you communicate by email? I say yes, no. And I said, you want to talk about this further? Talk to my attorney. Talk to your attorney. Darlene, you've been on before, but I can't remember what city and state you're from. And so um, Faye from Richmond, Kentucky says, also keep medical and mental health records at home on file and apply for baby's birth certificate uh, as soon as possible and file it somewhere safe in your home so that you be always have original, because if social workers has to file it for you, it'll be blank and they will not give it to you. You don't understand how corrupt the social workers are. And that's a good point that Faye says. So my rule number 2 on paperwork, you need to keep track of the medical records and also the school records and the birth certificate. And the birth certificate show both parents. And you don't want to leave the hospital without a birth certificate. You get one. You're entitled to one. And so be very, very careful, because what social workers will do, they'll put the foster care parents as the parents. So I'm telling you, you got to be really careful. It's really corrupt, and I don't know how much more to tell you that. Um, okay, you're from Georgia. All right, Cherokee County, Georgia, Darlene. Yes, you were once on my show as a call-in. I remember that as a guest. And thank you for returning. What's new, Darlene Smith? What's new in your CPS cases in your world? So we have Kentucky and we have Georgia, and I'm from California. So we got 3 different states involved in your cases. Now I've covered the rules. I've told you how they interact with this podcast. And now I'd like to talk about some topics like ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. That is an act that was passed in 1978 by the Congress, where it's supposed to protect Indian children from being put into CPS's hands and trafficking out. For over 140 years, 150 years, the American Indian has really suffered a lot. In 1875, they were starting to be put on reservations and their hair cut, their customs, wiped off, and the language stopped to speak and so forth. And the kids were all sent off to boarding schools to learn what the white man thought was the right way. Anyway, for so long, from 1875 to 1978, CPS all the time put the Indian children in foster care. There's no reunification, no help out the families, everything. So when they pass this law, it just basically says that CPS must investigate if the family has Native American Indian blood or the children do, and they need to be either registered or could be registered with one of the 547 federal tribes. Now, I'm a Lakota Sioux. I'm from the Rosebud Reservation, so I had a hard time with this ICWA because my problem is my great great grandmother had her white man's name but did not have her Indian name, and they don't have Indian records. I tried to work through Lakota University. I've tried a lot of things with the neighboring tribes and so forth, but I was unsuccessful. But there's been several of you on the show that, like a lady the other day was the Cherokee, and she was trying to have her children play. It's what they do once they find out you're registered, or they did register you as an Indian tribe. Then you're turned over to the tribe at their reservation or where their place is. Then in turn, the tribe will turn them over to an Indian family who will help out with the reunification and really take care of them, really take care of them, and so forth. So that's the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. There's another one called the petition, the 388 petition. In California, it's called the 388 petition. But the petition is a modification of anytime you have something new and you want to have a hearing before the judge, you file this petition. It's got to be served by all parties, and within 30 days, they'll have your chance to have your hearing and submit your new evidence, like you can play these parenting classes or these programs or something that was left out. That's what the 388, it's not called the 388 in a lot of states, but in California, in Oklahoma, and Maine, it's the 388 petition. But that will help you. That'll help you get a hearing. They have to have a hearing within 30 days. And you got to make sure all parties are served. The child's attorneys, the social workers' attorneys, your attorney. You see, everybody has an attorney. If you and your wife are involved, each of you will have an attorney if you want a court appointed, if you want your own. The children have court appointed, or you can get an attorney for them. My recommendation is you should get attorneys for everybody, but it's a costly thing, and I know how hard that is. But your children should have a real attorney because they'll put the social worker attorney. I mean, it's sad. It's all rigged. It's all rigged for you to fail. It is rigged to fail, and that should not be the case. Um, Darlene further says, this is the lady that was on my show once from Cherokee County in Georgia. She went up against the false statistics of the movie The Sound of Hope, the story of a possum trot. A social worker gave me the middle finger symbol on my responses. This movie is inspiring the church. Yes, I've seen The Sound of Hope. It's a good movie. Thank you, Darlene, for bringing that to my attention. To get involved with CPS child trafficking, they are challenging the church folks to adopt children who have good parents and are fighting a, a corrupt system. Well, the best has been proven. The best parents are the biological parents. They are the best parents. And that's where the children should be, with the biological parents, the mom and dad. And they know how to take care of their children. And y'all of you in this room, you show me one thing that you care. A lot of parents don't care, and then they are adopted and so forth. Um, Darlene says to get involved with CPS child trafficking, they are challenging the church folks to adopt children who have good parents and are fighting a corrupt system. Faye from Richmond, Kentucky says that movie is just glorification adaptations of propaganda. Okay, Faye, um, I need to go back and look at that movie again, The Sound of Hope. Yeah, that movie is. There's been several movies that have been made. There's one, a YouTube video of a Lakota Sioux child that was abused um, by CPS. And it was really sad. I mean, not only do we talk the Trail of Tears in the 1800s with all the promises made to American Indians that were broken, today Indian children are still being abused. Indian children are still being abused, the native Indians. They were our first immigrants, if you know something. They came over from Siberia over to Alaska and settled in Alaska and Canada, North America, down south, and so forth. So, they have been abused. There's no question about that. And thank you, Faye, for pointing that out to me on that. So I need to watch The Sound of Hope out there again. I need to look at that again. Okay, I have right now about 25 minutes left in the show. I'd love for someone to call in at 626-698-0990 and talk about your case. I understand it's sometimes hard to talk about it. I still find it hard. My case was really strange. For 5 years I battled CPS and kept them out of my family's life while I was out there looking for work. But then one time they thought they'd be smart and they contacted a local police detective who followed me around. And he followed me one day after I picked up my child and followed me for about 15 minutes when I was taking my child and myself to go pick up my wife in the middle of the main street in the city. And I saw this black and white go by me really fast and all of a sudden make a U turn and come up behind me. So apparently the detective was trying to get me stopped. And so the police officer, comes up to the window, not very friendly or anything like that. He said, "Do you know you broke a violation?" I said, "A violation of what?" "You ran a stop sign." I said, "I ran a stop sign. There was a stop sign by my school that was 15 minutes ago, about 5, 10 miles back. Why are you now pulling me over? There's been 3 or 4 lights since that incident." And he didn't say anything further. It was a ruse, but he said that gentleman behind me wants to talk to you. So I went and talked to the detective, and he wasn't friendly at all. He says, "You're going to follow me to your house." I said, "Why? What's wrong? My house burned down?" I said, "No, you're going to follow me." I said, "I need to pick up my wife." Oh, he didn't care. He did not care. Darlene, I'm so sorry that they followed you. It's scary. I agree with you. As a woman, I have had zero criminal history, and that is sad that they would follow you. That is so sad. That's sad. So anyway, my case was I was told to drive home, and I should have said either give me a traffic ticket or arrest me, but I'm not going home, not with you guys. So I came home, and there's all these people standing in my front yard. I live in a private neighborhood with CCNRs, and I thought maybe my house had burned down or someone robbed it or something like that. And it was 5 firemen, uh, see, 2 code enforcement, 3 social workers, 2 uniformed policemen, and the detective all demanding to see my home. And I should have just said I need to call my attorney and have him handle it, but I'm not letting you in the house. But like a fool, I did. And, I had an issue where my parents were dying, and they asked me, they said, "Son, can you help, disseminate our stuff that we've amassed for 55 years and send it to your family and friends?" I said, "Sure, I'll do it." Of course, I should have said no because if I knew what I did know, but I did because I should have put it into storage and then done one storage unit at a time. They had over 4,000 square feet in my house, let alone and they had 55 years. And so I had 30 some years. So that's a lot of belongings. Anyway, they charged me with neglect because they said, "Oh, you can let the children get hurt by the stacking of the boxes or stacking the furniture." It's so ludicrous. And they weren't in imminent danger, but they took them out of their school. They took them out of school and they put them in a really makeshift shelter, the social workers shelter, and it was next door to the prison of juveniles, and their play yard was next to my children's play yard, and on top of that, they had a beehive that attacked the children. The food was terrible, the place was dirty, it was overcrowded, and their idea of school was a person reading from a book. Well, my kids are beyond that. My kids were in STEM, where they take a science class, a technology class, an engineering class, a math class, and they were definitely trying to get to know things in engineering and in sports and so forth. So it was sad. It was sad, you know. how they took my children that weren't in imminent danger, and they charged me with that. It was, they were around my house with their combat boots, got my furniture. I had white furniture dirty by standing on it. What kind of a policeman stands on someone's furniture? Where do you know better? Oh, I wanted a view of your lovely pool, your jacuzzi, your beautiful. I mean, they were more admiring our house, and all they could come up with is neglect. Neglect of what? How is that endangering the kids? It was stupid. It was stupid. And anyway, I proceeded to tell them everything, which is a mistake on my part. And then I tried to use a court attorney, which is another mistake. I was doomed. I did not know how bad CPS is. I mean, when my social worker who didn't have an education, a college degree, didn't have a license, and she was going to be the social worker to take care of family. And all she talked about her bonuses that she got to buy her Gucci purses, her eyelashes, her eye makeup, her accessories, her clothing, her BMW car. That's all she talked about was bonuses, bonuses, bonuses. That's all they think about is money, 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 money. So I'm telling you, you got to be really careful with these people. They are illiterate. They are not educated, and they know nothing except how to make money. They know all about trafficking, which is illegal. They know about alienation, which is illegal. You're not supposed to alienate someone. Parents do it all the time in divorce cases, but CPS does it to get your kids away. And it was sad because my 12-year-old, was told by the social worker because the social worker had lost. She had lied under an oath during the court proceedings, and she was caught with a lie. And she told us parents, you know what? You made me look bad in court. You're never going to see your daughter again. Those were her words. I could do a lawsuit. Those were her words. She told me and my wife that. And my daughter at 12 was told to divorce her parents, divorce her brother, divorce her grandparents, divorce her aunts and uncles, and change her name and seal up the birth certificate and be adopted by a foster care family. And she's no longer with the foster care family. They did something to her, which is sad because most foster care families do that. It's just a ruse. It's like the foster care is really not one of those things that is a good thing there. So, my foster care, I'm sorry for the background noise. I'm outside because inside is too noisy in there. So, this is all because of my car situation. I have a car that I can't park during the daytime in the city, so I have to park out at shopping malls and stuff. So I do my podcast twice a day, once in the morning from FedEx and once at night from Starbucks. And it's getting cool here too. It's really interesting. At nighttime, it cools down. I know the rest of you are really hurting, and I'm sorry about your hot weather and everything on that. Okay. Um, so my case, it was awful. It was awful. I hired Vincent Davis late. He got my two boys back, but it took him from 2015 to 2017. Meanwhile, I lost my home because I had to sell it to pay my attorney because I love my family. I'm a family first kind of guy. I love my family and I take care of them. And um, I just think it's awful that what you guys have to go through. Uh, Faith says 98 today in Richmond, Kentucky. That is hot. That is so hot. Index feels like 102. Wow. Definitely fry an egg. You can fry an egg there in Richmond, Kentucky. Anyway, I hope it cools down for you, Faye. I hope the evening is a little bit cooler now. Um, I have about 15 minutes, so if anybody would like to call in, I'd love to take your call. Or if you want to text me more from all of you, I'd be love to have your messages and maybe I can help you. I do try to read them and try to share them with the rest of the room there. Um, because we have right now maybe about 22 people listening, and that is good. That is good. Um, now, let me see. There's some other things I have here. Yeah, I'd like to talk to you about an organization called the ICPC. It's the Interstate Compact on the Placement of Children. It is a contract among member states and the U.S. territories authorizing them to work together to ensure that children who are placed across state lines for foster care or adopted receive adequate protection and support services. So it's supposed to help. For instance, there was a case where in Georgia a child had special needs and they had to go to Texas. So they enlisted the ICPC to transport them and get them there. But what happened or what ensued was the child turned 18 and he could go home, but he has special needs. And the CPS is trying to interfere and keep the child even though he's over the age of 18. So the IPCPC is supposed to take care of children from one state to another state. So I'm just telling you about the ICPC on that there. Um, Let me see here. What do we got time wise? We got about 14 minutes left. 14 minutes left here. Um, there's one thing I like to report to you. You need to check at the state level if your case has been reported. With your number, you should be able to check on it and see if your case was reported at the state level. If it's not, then they don't have a case. When a case is opened up, they report it to the state level, and that way they get the funding. If they don't do that, then they don't have a case against you. A lot of these agencies are rogue, meaning that they're off doing their own thing. So, depending on what state you are, it's going to all depend. So it's important you learn about that CPS case. It's really, really important that you do on that. Okay, let me see something else here. I'm looking at a timeline. Oh boy. Um, there was something in California that is um, talking about how kids are kidnapped. Um, there's so many bad things, you know. For instance, in Sacramento County, they ordered to close a legal shelter for foster care children. More than a year after telling Sacramento County Protective Service to stop using a clerical office as a makeshift youth shelter, state officials have ordered the agency to end the illegal practice by September deadline. The California Department of Social Services wrote in a July letter to Sacramento County Protective Service that it must also stop letting kids sleep at the county office. I mean, some of the stuff is so sad, it's so sick that they get rid of it. You know, 7 children in protected custody in Santa Cruz County sex child case with the newer surgeon nurses. The relationship between um, former Santa Cruz neurosurgeon James Coles and nurses Emily Steffen and Rochelle Brandon is becoming clear. The trio allegedly worked together to force children into sexual acts such as sodomy, oral copulation, and intercourse. On May 9th, a Watsonville resident gave police a video shot in March of the two nurses having sex with children as young as 3 years old and in Scotts Valley Motel. The evidence triggered allegations that Coles Ellis had forced girls and held boys to have sex with him multiple times since January 1st, according to the court documents. This is so sick. All these cases after cases. I mean, we do need the protection. There's no question about that. Um, children need for that. But I tell you, um, they're doing this in every state. They're putting kids in hotels, office buildings with food or ways to shower. Yeah, with no food or ways to shower. Hotels open foster cares into uh, having let's see, have been trafficked. It's neglect. I agree with you, Faye. I agree with you. Disgusting. They make justice from these perverts. You know, you sit here and say, all right, best thing to do is eliminate the child protection service. Well, that's not going to solve a lot of issues. You do need them because there are bad cases, but it's corrupt within the services. We need a national bot at the state level, a superintendent, a board of directors that monitor the CPS's actions. There should be quarterly reports. They should be showing where the money and how the money is being spent. And it's really, really sad. I I sometimes get so overwhelmed. I wish there's something we could all do about this because I care about you. I really care about all of you, and I have issues too. And it's sad because I miss my daughter. She's on July 9th. She's going to be 22 years old, and it's so sad that I have a daughter out there that I created. And she was with me, age 12. Everything was fine and rosy. And because I lose my job, and because I have lay people make false allegations and have corrupt social workers take advantage of that, I lost my daughter. Why? What did I do wrong? And you guys are asking the same thing. Why did you lose your daughter, your son? I know how it feels. Like Faye, who's lost her daughter. She is so bummed by that. That's wrong. She talks about her daughter too. And I feel for it. And Darlene too. I remember when you were a guest on her show um, about that. Anyway, I got about 5 minutes left. I'm trying to think, is there something else that I need to talk about or didn't cover or didn't talk about there, Faye or Darlene? There's something else. Ask me a question or something. Um, Oh boy. I'm trying to find. Uh, oh. Well, the good news about that airman, that was shot. The sheriff has fired the deputy who shot the airman. Um, it was it was definitely sad. It was sad there. So, well, for all that you were listening, it looks like the airman, the deputy, um, was terminated. Well, that doesn't bring back the airmen, and so it is sad. But I got to close, and I want to close on a happy thought. I love you guys. You can still fight for your kids. You will get your kids back. Don't give up. Join me tomorrow. I'll be on at 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, and again at 7 o'clock Sunday night. So join me on my podcast. We can talk more. Please try to schedule to be on the show as a guest, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Faye from Richmond, Kentucky. Thank you, Darlene from um, Georgia. It was so good to have you on here. And uh, let me see who else. I think we had one other person I thought we had. Um, Darlene and Faye. I guess that was it. Darlene and Faye were the ones that did the comments there. Thank you all for listening, and it's Bob Pace signing off.